information for information's sake, without God, without the fear of God, is not wisdom. It can be actually very evil and dangerous. Choosing to fear God is a choice. It brings good consequences. Deuteronomy 30 talks about that. Choose God, it says, and live. But choosing to reject God is the choice of a fool, the Bible says. It will produce death and destruction, and it will bring God's judgment, and that's how I started the program. Choices have consequences, and bad choices produce victims. And that's what happens as we look at America in its decision to walk away from God, and we then see the free fall that we're seeing now. Question is, can we reverse it? George, I wanted to give you full reign here. Go where you want in this answer as we wrap up this program. But you attempted, and you did, this research. You attempted to answer the question a bit relative to how we should respond to all this. And people can find that again at the website, arizonachristian.edu, and then just look for Release 6, Research 6. It'll be there. But turning back to God, George, is the key, of course. We're not doing it seems, in this country. Not doing a very good job of it. Although God, I think, has been really trying to get our attention these last several months. So here's my question to you. What do you think it will take to cause Americans, and I'm going to put Christian Americans, to reset, to truly reset our moral standards?
Yeah, well, I think the context here is for us to understand that the issue is what I called before, a profound spiritual deficiency. And that's what's producing the worldview crisis and then, in turn, the cultural collapse that we're seeing. And so if we look practically at it, the thing that we have to address is that we're wrestling with poorly formed character and a broken moral compass. These are spiritual problems that produce bad decisions and bad behaviors. And so we can't fool ourselves into thinking that we can change hearts by changing the law. Defunding the police, Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, whatever movements you come up with, if they do what's going on now, they're going to fail, not necessarily because they're bad ideas, but simply because they're not focused on changing hearts. And really, God is the only one who can do that in a fashion that's going to be in our best interest. So again, it comes back to it's not a political issue, it's not an economic issue, it's a spiritual issue that needs a spiritual solution. How do people then change? What I've found over the years through the research is that people can change in 3 different ways. God uses 3 different approaches to facilitating transformation in our lives. One way is through hardship, Him allowing us to experience pain or suffering or loss or failure. In other words, He allows us to be broken. We need to be broken as sin, self, and society and focus on Him and His principles in order to lead a meaningful life. We can either, when we're broken, turn inward, rely on ourselves, or we can turn upward and rely on Him. And that's the way to go. A second way that we might begin to see change is through what some might call the law of attraction. And that's by having a relationship with other people whereby we're providing them with consistent biblical teaching and modeling. They hear it, they see it, they like it, they're attracted to it. And so we are given the opportunity, we've earned the opportunity to become a personal mentor, and then through, intent and time and accountability along with the content, we have the privilege of being able to lead somebody down a better path. And the best way to do it isn't to beat them over the head with the Bible, but to be asking them questions about what they believe and why, and playing that out through a Socratic dialogue, being able to bring them back to the truth that they may not have recognized as God's, but ultimately it is. Third way people might change is through anticipation, recognizing what's coming down the pike, what their own needs and desires are, what is going to be best in the end run or in the long run, and then initiate the transition that will get them there. So, which way will we take it? Looks like we're moving toward hardship, where America has said, no, I've got to experience pain or suffering or loss or failure. in order to be pushed to that point where we say, okay, this isn't working, I need to try something different. That's a very difficult route to travel, but it looks like that's the one that America's choosing. There are better routes to travel. I wish that the church had a stronger voice. I wish that church leaders were not as invisible in this important cultural moment, and that they were actually giving God's truth and perspectives and principles to people so they could make better decisions. Unfortunately, I don't see enough of that happening.